Hello, welcome. I'm very excited for today's video. I have a vision and I'm not sure if it will come together or not, but I have a vision, and the vision is that we can take the comment section of this video and make it like an informal poetry writing workshop. I'm going to give you 5 prompts to choose from in this video. If you actually use one of the prompts and you want to share your poem, you can write your poem in the comments below, and please tell us which prompt you used. I'm going to use one of the prompts and I'm going to post my poem on my Patreon. All of the prompts I use are going to be linked in a document in the description below in case you'd like to read them. So let's get started. In this video, I'm trying to take the elusive, kind of mysterious act of writing poetry and break it down into concrete steps. Now, obviously, there are as many ways to write a poem as there are poets. These are just some of my ways of going about this. These are some of my tips. So first, step 1, you need to gather your materials. Something to write with, of course. I have 2 designated poetry-specific notebooks. One for when I want to use a pen and one for when I want to use a mechanical pencil, because I can be picky like that. Next, go to your bookshelf, choose a poetry collection. I'm going to be using this collection called Passiflora by Kathy Davis. I don't know anything about it. I got it because I entered Cider Press Review's 2019 contest and I did not win, and a lot of poetry contests will send you the winning book once it's published. So finally, you might want to make yourself a cup of tea. Go somewhere cozy and someplace as distraction-free as possible. A desk, a kitchen table, under a tree in your backyard. It's your choice. Open your book of poetry, read a few poems. The purpose is, of course, not to copy the poet's style when you begin writing. What you're looking for is that elusive feeling of inspiration. I personally often come up with subjects for my poems while reading other people's poetry. Not only is this not plagiarizing, but in fact my ideas are often not directly related to the poem in any sort of tangible way. I can't quite explain what's going on here. There's a bit of magic involved. So for example, I might read a poem about hummingbirds and it might make me want to write a poem about music, and I'm really not sure why. But the point is, you need a topic. Your poem needs a subject, a point of focus, or at least a place to start. There's a Blink-182 reference in this book. Didn't see that coming, you know? Preferably whatever topic you choose should be something that evokes an emotion in you. It should be something that you feel like you have something to say about, something which brings up a lot of associations that you can riff off of. Think of a concept, a person, or an event which you keep mulling over in your mind, something you can't stop thinking about. Maybe you're not even sure why and you need to write the poem to figure out why. Or think of an experience in your life that feels like it has a story there, because poems can be stories too. Poems need to have emotional resonance. You should feel something about the topic you're writing about, and you should aim to make your reader feel something when they read your poem. That doesn't mean that you need to name the emotion in the poem itself. In fact, I would suggest that you don't. Focus instead on concrete descriptions which appeal to the 5 senses. Now, it's possible that right now you feel ready to start writing. You've had your tea, you've read your poems, you have a subject, you feel strongly about it, and you're ready to go. Go ahead if that's the case, and please share if you feel comfortable in the comments. But if you still need direction, here are my 5 prompts. Prompt number 1, interesting fact. Choose an interesting fact to launch off your poem. You can start with this as the first line, but it doesn't have to end up ultimately being the first line. You could choose a well-known fact which sounds poetic, like the sun is a star, or you could choose a lesser-known fact like 4 babies are born every minute. And if you're not sure what fact to use, you can just hop on over to Google and find a list of interesting facts, pick one which resonates with you, and use the poem to explain why it resonates with you. What is interesting about this? What sort of associations does it bring up for you? Prompt number 2, concept plus setting. Choose a concept you want to explore, again, a subject that you feel strongly about, and choose a setting, a visceral, image-heavy setting in which to explore that concept. You may have seen my video on imagery where I talked about the Terence Hayes poem, The Whale. In that poem, he's talking about grief, and he's doing so with the setting of the ocean. So there's this constant undercurrent of grief, but the bulk of the poem is actually just descriptions of the ocean. So I'm recommending you do something similar, but you choose your own concept, idea, emotion, and your own setting in which to explore it. For example, you might want to write a poem about loneliness in the setting of a playground. You can use that exact example if you'd like, or you can choose your own concept and your own setting. prompt number 3, noun plus emotion. This is sort of like the last prompt, but I'm going to choose more of the components for you in case you just don't feel like choosing. Let's take the two seemingly unrelated subjects that I mentioned before, hummingbirds and music. Now you also need to have an emotion to go with these. If one comes to mind, pick that. If nothing comes to mind, you can just choose one. Contemplative, calm, frustrated, infatuated. So for example, here's our prompt as a math problem. Infatuated plus hummingbirds plus music equals poem? I told you that trying to explain how to write a poem was going to be weird. Prompt number 4, restrictive. This prompt is going to restrict your language a bit more, so pick a poem from the collection you've been reading, write down all the verbs from this poem, and write a poem using only those verbs. Feel free to change the order of the verbs though, and once your draft is complete you can add and subtract verbs, making the poem more your own, but to start with, only use the verbs from that poem. Prompt number 5, habit breaking. This is for our more veteran poets, people who write poems all the time. If you're someone who tends to write short lines, try writing a poem with long lines, and vice versa. Now if you're someone who tends to write like medium length lines, then choose either very, very short or very, very long. I'm talking Eileen Myles, short, Allen Ginsberg, long, very short or very long. Just try to use line breaks that are not typical for you. So those are all of my tips and all of my prompts. Like I said, they're also in a document in the description. If you like what you've written, please share it in the comments and please offer other people feedback. Nice feedback, kind feedback. If you're not used to giving constructive criticism, you could try a compliment sandwich, you know? Something good, something to work on or consider. Those are good verbs to use. You don't have to say that it's bad. Just say, you might want to think about this, followed by another compliment. You know, think about what you'd want to hear and then tell people that sort of criticism. Again, I'm going to be writing a poem based on one of these prompts. I haven't chosen which prompt yet, but you can go over to my Patreon and it will be posted there. Happy writing. If this goes well, I would absolutely love to make this a series. So please, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, participate in the comments, and we can do this again. We can start a little writing community here. I think that would be so much fun.